Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the People's International Chat Show hosted by the People's Doorstep Referendum. What a week. Is this the week that the empire has finally failed? And is this the week, as the national states clearly, the week the UK lost the plot? But folks, we're going to take on all of our with the debacle that is unravelling in Westminster this past week. They say a week is a long time in politics. By God, this feels like a lifetime. So on Sunday, Michael Gove refuses to rule out ignoring legislation passed by MPs to block a no-deal Brexit. This is straight from the National folks, so they've got copyright on this. Labour's Keith Stammer says no government is above the law. But apparently, Boris will not go to Europe and ask for an extension, or what is it he called it? Somebody will come up with actually, but
he said it was a surrender, basically.
A surrender. No, that's their thought. Have passed and will get royal assent tomorrow. But as Boris, and this is up to you guys, I'll come in with you, Ian, because, well, in fact, I hope you introduced the panel. Everybody knows everybody. Raymond from Netherlands for Independence, Colin from Germans for Independence, and our own very own SNP contingent, Ian Leffenby. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, mate.
Okay, Ian, is this week, or this past week, the week that the UK lost the plot and the empire's crumbled?
Yes, in a nutshell. I mean, you've got a Prime Minister who has 25 resignations, sackings or dismissals in his first 6 weeks in office. His own brother has resigned. Amber Rudd has resigned again from front-level government politics. It's been getting spread all the way across the independence movement for the last few months. We need to kick them while the horse is down. That horse is lying dead with flies buzzing around it. Westminster has loaded on itself. It's become, I said it in 2016 when we were looking at the propaganda that was going out against the EU referendum, and this is what early 1930s Germany must have felt like. We've now ramped it up to 1938. We're at the point where Hitler is Boris Johnson dictating to Parliament what shall and shall happen. This is unbelievable what's happening. We've seen a history repeat itself. The European Union was formed over the last 60 years to prevent Europe going to war with itself, and we're just seeing this gridlock in Parliament. You know, he's lost his first 3 votes. It's never been done. He's going to be the shortest Prime Minister. He won't, unfortunately, by the looks of it, be the last Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. But I've said it from the last 2 years, or the last year that we've been doing this show, we need to have an independence referendum before Brexit. But that was 31st of March, that was then 31st of October, and from all accounts there will be an extension, probably into December, January. We need to have a referendum before that. Simple as that. We need to now decide, do we sign up for Bojo's version of Brexit Britain, or do we go for a new independent look at how our country is run?
Yeah.
The Dutch taking out of this fiasco that's unravelling in Westminster?
Well, the media does seem to do have a view against good old Boris, for the simple fact that they show all the interactions he has with the people on the street that basically tell him to bugger off. They always show that, so they don't speak out against Boris or anything, but the media does steer us in the way, like they usually do with mainstream media, like they try to steer you in what they want you to believe, and it shows now, but then now in the direction that we might want them to. Basically, they show how people feel about Boris, and that it works for us. I would say it's a good thing, but media steering us in what to believe is never a good thing. Although this works for us, basically.
So you would say, right to this point in political history, Britain is the laughing stock of the world.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, they just keep that they never had a plan to begin with. He always talks about new negotiations. There are no new negotiations, so he's just a laughing stock on his own. Never mind Britain.
That then brings you into, Colin, you can come in on this next part. It brings you into the honesty of politicians, and I don't think it's ever been clearer that politicians in Britain are lying to the face of the electorate, and it starts with Boris and it goes through his whole cabinet. Colin, the destruction of...
Absolutely. I mean, I'd like to maybe just start off with your first question about the media in Germany. Because I've been saying this for quite a while, that I have been detecting a very gradual shift in the attitude of German media to the whole Brexit hurrah. It started off with, after the referendum, it was a case of, we're very sorry to hear it, but okay, fine, that's your choice, we'll work together. And with all of the things that were going on under the May government, it was getting close to sort of face palm, still quite polite. You're really getting German media coming out with open disdain, where they're effectively getting the pish out of the UK government because the way Boris Johnson is dealing with things. And to go on to your second point about honesty, I mean, Boris Johnson is not honest. There's no two ways about that. What we've been seeing is, again, with the case we had in the quarter session this week, where Boris Johnson was required to provide copies of minutes and copies of documents about the prorogation of Parliament. And he did it too late. Very much a case of, well, I'll do something if I have to, but I'll do as little as I can, with much eradicated from the documents that he put before the quarter session. But what we definitely did see was that he was talking about prorogation of Parliament many weeks before he announced it. He was, this was part of his plan. He was telling us, I'm not going to prorogue Parliament, but he was thinking about it. And the funny thing for me was watching the Mar show today, when Kwasi, what's-his-face, was on it, trying to squirm out of this, because now everybody knows that Boris Johnson has been going for prorogation of Parliament since the middle of August. And Kwasi, I can't remember his second name, no disrespect, I'll disrespect him for other things, but not for his second name, was trying to wriggle out of this when being challenged by Andrew Marr by saying, well, what we were talking about at the time was prorogation around the 31st of October. We weren't talking about prorogation before the 31st of October. And you can just see them squirming, slithering around like worms. And they just don't know what to do because they know they have been found out. And I think that the one thing that has also come out of this week, with the whole debate, which I'm sure we're going to come on to later on, is that the whole reason why the opposition parties at Westminster are united against Boris Johnson's call for a general election isn't because they don't want a general election, it's because they don't trust him.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually going to come on to that. But the truth of the lie, as it were, is that the British Retail Consortium claims there would be no food shortages, as categorically untrue. They know there will be food shortages. They know there will be medical shortages. They know there will be transport issues. They know there may even be water shortages. Now, that's our government, our supposed government, lying to our faces. Lying to our faces. And that is why the opposition parties are correct not to fall for this general election trap. Because Boris ultimately has the mandate to call that general election at any time. It's not specific to prior to Brexit. He could call it, if they agreed to have the general election, he could call it next week. Or 25 days. I think that Parliament has to be in recess for 25 days.
25 days is set in law.
Yeah. So 25 days, he could have it on the 26th day. And all that time, Parliament is closed, which means he could carry on through to Brexit. Put it past.
The biggest problem part is not carrying on through Brexit. And I think this is the reason he's bringing this motion in front of Parliament again tomorrow, saying that things have changed, because by tomorrow the bill to prevent no deal will have gained royal assent.
Yeah.
Expect. But the bill to ban effectively a no deal with no deal.
Yeah.
If Boris Johnson were to win an election on the 20th, 21st, 22nd of October, get a majority, he could then repeal that. And then within a matter of days before the 31st of October date, we would still be crashing out with no deal. What is more important now is that Boris Johnson and his colleagues are suggesting they're going to find ways, even with this law, how to get around it and still crash out with no deal.
Yeah. But if it is law, is it Jocelyn Mohan, the lawyer?
His court case coming up this week.
Yeah, I've got it here in the National. Top lawyer, I'll fight to send Johnson to jail if he ignores the legal order. If it's given royal assent, then that's its statute, it's law. If they actually backed a general election, this is just my thinking, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If they backed a general election on Monday after that was made law, Boris Johnson still has the power to prorogue that election until after the 31st of October.
Also, yeah.
So that means that he could carry on to the no-deal Brexit, and the whole reason they won't back it is because nobody can trust him to keep that date. He may say that the 14th of October or the 15th of October for the general election, but he also has the right to say, no, we'll just go to Brexit and we'll hold the election after that. You can't trust a word that comes out of his mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, he said in Parliament the 15th, and the day before, Downing Street had said the 14th. But
Yeah.
You're right, it's just a case of, if they hold this general election over this period, it will prevent, a no-deal Brexit is irrepreventable. Boris Johnson will not call it. He will not have anything to do with the Parliament, because ultimately, it's just doing a Trump. You know, he's doing what Donald Trump done in the first few years of his premiership, and just bulldogged through everything. Just we need a general election, but he's going to win. if he's not going to win, he's going to win with a majority with the Brexit party, but they have talked about not sitting any seats at this general election. That came from another famous liar, Nigel Farage, so they could take seats, they could not take seats. There's one in Sinn Féin. Should they be taking their seats at this point in this Parliament as well? To do everything they can to vote against Boris, but they are the government of choice. The Queen he has to form a majority government, but he's not done it yet. He's not had a single vote. He's passed. How do we get past this impasse at Westminster? We could have got out of this impasse 5 years ago, sorry, but here we are.
Yeah, that is where we are here. But this week has shown the absolute collapse of trust, and if trust was at a low ebb within the public, then it's completely collapsed. But the Brexit Party and the Tories are dicing with death, because they are actually sitting and trying to manoeuvre into a position. Farage came out during the week and said that he's willing to sit down with Boris and discuss a campaign strategy, as we have been talking about here in Scotland. So that in itself, if they don't agree a strategy and the Brexit Party stands against the Conservatives, it has the possibility of splitting that Brexit vote.
But that's not going to happen, Pat, because the Brexit Party and Nigel Farage has been a one-issue pony ever since he became famous. He wants Brexit. And
But this will be a one general election policy, remember?
Yeah, but I cannot believe that if you have a general election, whether it comes before or after the 31st of October, that Nigel Farage would be as stupid as to split the Brexit vote. Whatever he might be talking about now, they see the chance of a Boris Johnson right-wing government. As even Kenneth Clark said, the Tories are now effectively the Brexit Party in disguise. He will not put that at risk. Where I see the bigger risk is the voting with the Remainers. We've got Labour, who still sitting on the fence, not quite sure what they're doing. We get the Fib Dems, who are making out that the only party in the whole world to be against Brexit. Jo Swinson totally over herself now that she's got 17 MPs. And we know that there's not going to be a pact between Labour and the Lib Dems. Jo Swinson has already said as much when they were talking about putting in an interim Prime Minister. So the Remain vote is going to be split in England, and therefore you're going to get Boris Johnson winning the general election, probably with a majority which he won't even need the DUP, and that's going to put us in Scotland in a totally different kettle of fish, because in Scotland we're going to get probably 50 odd SNP MPs who are campaigning also to stop Brexit, because the Fib Dems, Labour and the Blue Tories are going to get pretty much wiped out across the board. But we're going to then have our SNP MPs down at Westminster with nothing to say.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. But as Nicola has stated, she will be issuing the request for that Section 30. What we don't know is what Nicola will do when we do know that they will refuse it. And even the Labour Party have flip-flopped on that issue. Raymond, I'm going to bring you in before we go into that. So I'll take a note of that. That's general election, Section 30, and we'll discuss that. Raymond, who's online tonight with us?
Well, some of the regulars, Eva Gerber, William Forbes, some weird guy called Ian Leckenby. I don't know really who that is, but you know. Yeah. Denise Level,
Ruthie Dixon.
Marco van Zanten, that's a guy that I know. Heather Moore, Ian Johnson, Pete Scally, Ruthie Dixon. Those are basically the people who are on. William Forbes made about the short. We talked about the shortages a little while back, and he said there might not be shortages to begin with, as they have been stockpiling food down south, but they can do that while with people's medical needs. To react to the whole situation, I was thinking about. Remember in 20, what was it, the EU referendum, 16, 17? 16. What happened when the result came in, and we talked about this before. Boris left, Farage left, so I was thinking, what is stopping them for pulling another one of those and basically push a no-deal Brexit through, or whatever kind of Brexit, and then after that hold the general election, maybe lose, and then leave again, and then we're stuck with the same pile of dung that we did in 2016.
I'm going to disagree with the thought that it won't split the Brexit vote, because Farage and Johnson are both megalomaniacs.
Definitely.
They are narcissists.
Oh yeah.
They are dangerous to the point, and they are prepared. Well, does he have the balls? Does Boris Johnson? There's the question. Does Boris Johnson have the balls to stand up and say, "Jail me"? Has he got the conviction of his train of thought? Has he got the conviction to see through his idea?
Pat's gone.
I don't think Boris Johnson does have the conviction to see through his idea and say, "Jail me." What I do think, though, is that Boris Johnson will be doing everything he can on the basis of thinking that they won't jail him. He's going to be pushing the boat out as far as he can go, and while there might be folk calling for him to be jailed, he's got this sense of entitlement that he thinks that it's not going to happen to him. So I don't think it will be a case of conviction from Boris Johnson, more perhaps it's megalomania. But again, back to what you were saying, Pat, with Farage and Johnson being megalomaniacs, I agree with you 100% there. But what I don't think is, given that they have now said the UK is leaving on the 31st of October, deal or no deal, I don't think that they would do anything to jeopardise that. And that's why I don't see a great Brexit party, Conservative Party fight. It would be good for the rest of us, because then they would take votes off each other, but I just don't see it happening.
Okay, Ian, have you got a view on this?
Yeah, I don't think he, you look at previous world leaders that haven't been convicted for crimes that they committed when in office. I think there's a safe bet to say that Boris Johnson's not going to be put in jail for going in the house. He's always got that. He's standing on the will of the people. He's standing on the will of the 52% that voted for Brexit in the first place. We're in a position at the moment where, I mean, it might be controversial, but I'm thinking back to when Alex Salmond was the First Minister in Scotland. When he won that first election, he was a sitting MP. He sat in both houses a couple of times. I suspect I would recommend that Nicola Sturgeon stand in this election to go to Westminster, and she can be the Deputy Prime Minister to whoever Labour put up, and that could rickshaw the whole thing into tangent. We've seen President, why not? We need some proper leadership down in that house, and if it's only going to be for a few months to get things sorted out, we'll certainly do both jobs.
No, she's more than capable of doing both jobs, but I wouldn't for a minute back that. we've sent 56 down at one time to settle up, no settle in, and with all due respect to the SNP, they settled down. Now we're getting a wee bit of discontent with the likes of Angus Brendan McNeil and Chris Michelena. They're coming out. Excuse me, folks, I've got a very heavy cold, so apologies if I'm losing the train of thought. But we need to know. We need to know that there is something in place when Nicola applies for this Section 30, because we know and we have been told by the Tories, by the Lib Dems, by the Labour Party, that there will not be permission, won't be allowed to hold a referendum, while it's well within the parameters of the Scottish Parliament to hold an election at any time. There has to be Plan B, and to my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, there is no Plan B, or there's no acceptance of any suggested Plan B. Colin?
On the face of things, what we've seen reported, I agree with you absolutely. The one thing that I still hold at the back of my mind is that there is a Plan B, and that you don't put all your cards on the table at once. Because, as you see, Section 30 will be denied. Now, we can talk for hours about the whole concept of having to ask for permission. We'll leave that for another day. The thing that concerns me the most is the tactics of the SNP. And again, I'm speaking as a member of the SNP just to clarify anything there. But the tactics of the SNP and of Nicola in saying that she will update us further once the Brexit scenario has become clear. Now, we were meant to be leaving the EU back in April. It was extended till October. The EU says, don't waste your time, and what have we seen? A Tory party leadership election, possibly a general election, prorogue in Parliament. If that's not time wasting, I don't know what is. We might see a further extension till maybe January, which is currently what the latest legislation envisages. The problem about all of this is that we are effectively reacting to Westminster. Because if Westminster then maybe in January says, all right, we're going to have a people's vote in March or in April, then we wait till April, May next year until we make plans for a second independence referendum, possibly in the meantime with a huge mandate of a one-issue vote for Westminster, returning maybe 50 SNP MPs with a mandate to call this second referendum, and we're still waiting. We are reacting. And what I've been saying for the last few months is that we can't react. We've got to take the bull by the horn, and the people who've got to take the bull by the horn aren't the politicians. The people that have to take the bull by the horn are the grassroots. Remembering what happened in Eastern Europe 30 years ago this year. Get out there. Get our voices heard and show everybody that we want independence and we will not be quiet.
Yeah, right. Raymond, I'm going to bring you in here. I think you've got a point to make.
Yeah, got some comments about some of the people watching the show. David Beef said the French said they would deny an extension, and in extension to that, Ruthie Dixon said France are talking about possible vetoing the Brexit extension. So that will definitely put a strike to another extension as well, because it should be it would be a unanimous vote, right?
Could I just jump in on that?
Yeah.
That's what France is saying right now. They're saying they're getting a bit sick and tired of all that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want an extension for another 3 months to be wasted. But
Yeah.
if there is the prospect of a UK general election with a new mandate for negotiations, I think that France would be the last country that would want to go out on a limb and say, tough luck. So I think that's what they're saying right now, but I don't think they would veto if there was a prospect of a change in circumstances.
Yeah.
Negotiating tactics.
And then we also have Archie Dick making two comments. Johnson will resign. It's as simple as that, and then more time will be used up to elect another Tory MP. He also says, "What do you guys think about Wings running on the list vote for the next Scottish elections?"
Yes. I'll jump straight in there. Solidarity and hope over fear. Both. In fact, it was solidarity that started the campaign in 2014 to lend your vote to the SNP, which was a massive success.
Definitely.
We begun that campaign to support the only political party that was winnable in a general election scenario, and we maintained that throughout 2015. We asked in 2015 for the Scottish electorate in 2016 to use their vote sensibly, and unfortunately the SNP were not reciprocal in that cause, because we had the opportunity, whether it was for a vote for Solidarity or a vote for any other independence party, because we did not call for the vote to be specifically for Solidarity. We asked it to be any independence party. We had the opportunity to install up to 110 pro-independence minded MSPs in the 2015 Scottish parliamentary elections. We thought with the results of 2015 that the SNP would see sense. Unfortunately, they have not, and they will not. Nicola has already stated just last week that in a Scottish parliamentary election, she wants SNP 1 and 2. Even with the spectacular fail of 750,000 votes, getting 4 seats. 4 seats on the list. That cannot be allowed to happen again. And that's where Wings comes in. If he can bring in the SSP, even the Greens, the Solidarity and any pro-independence parties into a single issue movement and stand for election on the list seat, then it's up to the Yes movement, not just the SNP members, the Yes movement, to tell Nicola, we want to max the Yes vote and Yes seats in Parliament. It can be done, and if they get on board, they can have the wholehearted support of the Yes movement on the constituency vote, and we can give them at least 72 seats on the constituency. Now, you can see the manoeuvre in Westminster. They're having talks about standing aside and supporting the party that will stand against the Tories and the Brexit party, not putting opposition in to split the vote. We need to strategise in that same manner. I'm going to open up to Colin, and then I'll come up yourself here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Pat. I mean, you have to bear in mind the electoral system in Scotland is designed to prevent one party having an absolute majority. and it has only happened once since the Scottish Parliament reopened back in 20 years ago. Now, again, as you said, the way the system works is that the list vote is effectively a top-up vote, which includes constituency MPs that have already been elected. So that's why you get the scenario, such as we had at the last Holyrood election in 2017, that the huge list vote for the SNP didn't really translate into many seats. Equally, you have a pro-independence party, be it Wings, be it Solidarity, be it the Greens, be it whoever else, standing on a one-issue mandate for independence. We could pick up a lot of seats on the lists vote, might even kick out Madra Fraser, which would be a nice wee bonus as well, but we could pick up the seats so that the Scottish Government would then, on this one issue, have a huge majority at Holyrood. And I think that, to be perfectly honest, folk in the UK and the Unionists in Scotland are starting to pick up on this, because remember, it's not that long ago, before she resigned to spend more time with her family, Ruth Davidson was claiming that a mandate for another independence referendum would be if the SNP won an overall majority at Holyrood. That was this summer, it must have been May, June, July, sometime like that. The SNP don't need an overall majority as a party at Holyrood. What we need are the constituency MSPs, pick up the list votes, so maybe in every region on the list we get maybe 2 or 3 Pro Indy MSPs in the list vote. Then we have a majority, then we have a mandate. But we're talking about speculation here. The next Holyrood election isn't until 2022, and I sincerely hope that come 2022 the election will be for an independent Scottish Parliament.
Amen.
And won't be talking about Holyrood tactics under devolution.
Yeah, but you can be sure in a Scottish parliamentary election, the SNP won't be going for 1 and 2 for an independent in an independent Scotland, because they most likely will win the whole constituency seats, which would denigrate their list seat anyway. But Ruthie Dixon here, seriously considering SNP 1, Greens or Wings 2. Sorry, I voted SNP 1 and 2 last time. A lot of people still don't understand the D'Hondt system. I must confess, I was less politically savvy back then, but understand it better now. Ian, I'll bring you in.
Yeah, I think everyone's saying the same in chat, Archie. Literally, we look to be looking at an SNP 1 and another pro-independence party 2. They've all been mentioned. Wings would be a phenomenal one. I think Wings could potentially reach out to a kind of work as a cross-party people's vote, which would be perfect for the constitutional vote, like the consistency vote. Sorry, you've got so many issues going on at the moment in Westminster. You know, this next election is going to be fought on an independence referendum battle. At the moment, if there was to be an election this time in the next 25 days, by the 14th, 15th of October, whenever it may be, we're not going to have time to set up that new party. I don't think we would have the time to get the groundwork in place. So for this election alone...
Ian, that idea is for a Scottish parliamentary election. It's not for a general election.
2020.
And let me make it clear here. Let me make it clear here. We would have to do as we did in 2015. We would have to get behind the SNP. If the SNP are going to drive the Tories out of all of the seats, which is, according to the polls, the Tories are due to lose every single seat simply by their actions in Westminster. They have stood against their constituents. They have stood against the voice and will of the Scottish people. They will feel the wrath of the Scottish people at the next election. But it will take us to do what we did in 2015 and back the campaign to return SNP MPs. Because the Labour Party are in the position of taking those Tory votes. So we have to fight doubly hard.
And the other thing to bear in mind is that the Tories were very pleased with themselves with their fakers dozen that they won in 2017. The reason the Tories won wasn't because Ruth Davidson stood on an anti-independence manifesto. The reason the Tories won those seats was because too many folk stayed at home and didn't vote. That is too many SNP voters or too many independence voters didn't lend their voice like they had done in 2015. What we need to do for the upcoming general election, and there will be one this year, whether it's October or November, there will be one. We have to, first of all, get out and, as you say, Pat, either vote for SNP if you are convinced by them. If you're not convinced by them, lend them your vote to get a huge amount of nationalist MPs, of independent supporting MPs at Westminster. But here's this other also idea. What we could do, we've talked again about the first past the post system. You can win a seat at Westminster with 35% of the vote. It is about the grassroots. All get out there, get active, and we make this our mini referendum so that we show the SNP MPs, the pro-independence MPs, returned with over 50% of the vote, and then turn to Westminster and say, we don't have a mandate.
No, but we have our mandate. The mandate is unquestionable.
But if we can get over 50% of the vote for pro-independence, hopefully independence will be the absolute part of the SNP manifesto at the forthcoming general election. And if we can get...
They've talked about them doing that. That's going to be their main priority. They've all campaigned on let's have this indirective too. They've asked for as an SNP fan, I'm not going to sit here and listen to too much SNP bashing. They have requested 2 Section 30 orders this year, since the Brexit vote, and both have been denied. They've put legislation through the Scottish Parliament to hold the powers to hold a referendum. They were going to be heard by 2020. They're going to be hopefully heard by later this year in the Scottish Parliament. So the SNP, no, they haven't sorted out Brexit. No one in Westminster has. They have stuck to their guns, which is we need to see how this pans out. But what I've seen from them in the last 2 years is a lot of groundwork, a lot of foundations, and not only that from them, from our side, from the grassroots independence movement, the rest of us, we've put in a lot of groundwork. We've put in a lot of foundations. And there's people, like Raymond, hand over to you here, mate. It's guys like yourself putting out the content week in, week out, having discussions, marching on the street. 20,000 in Perth this weekend. And that's the first time I've seen a significant SNP MP show up to speak to the crowds. So we have got the momentum. We just need to have an election to sort it all out.
Yeah. Ian, could I ask you one question? Like Ian Johnson is saying, I'm afraid tactical voting is a fool's folly. Could you find a text and put that on the chat explaining how the Scottish system, election system works?
Yeah, basically, with your first vote, 90% gets taken off, and that goes into the next round. So if you have got SNP listing second candidates that gather 300,000 votes, and you've got the Conservatives that gather 45,000, Labour gather 40,000, the SNP's majority of 300,000 is reduced to 30,000. So therefore, yes, the Tories and Labour get in. But if you've got another party there like Wings, like Solidarity, like Independents that are standing for constitutional votes in areas, you could then see the SNP gathering 150,000 and the other independent gathering 120,000, 130,000, pushing the Conservatives, Labour, Lib Dems all the way down further down the pecking order. The Scottish Greens could fit into that as well. The important thing is about having a pro-independence voice in the Scottish Parliament. So yeah, there's tactical voting. It really depends on what's happening in an election. if you've got 2 parties running, if you've got 3 parties running, if you've got 7 parties contending for the vote, that's where we'll have to see who's got the brass neck to try and get himself elected and get in that power. But I think there'll be a lot of people in Scotland that are getting fed up with the way politics has gone over the last 10, 20, 30 years. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that do want to make as much of a difference as they can, be that posting on social media, marching on the streets, dropping a like and a share in a video, or getting a bit more involved in the politics and getting out and campaigning on the doorsteps to win the SNP in an election. Because ultimately, at the moment, they are the vehicle for independence. We have to keep fueling that vehicle. We need to keep our voices loud and as loud in that parliament as we can, but we're seeing time and time again it is constantly ignored.
Yeah, constantly. The thing is that sorry, Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, on the Dehont system, it's very, very simple. If you win the constituency seat, the formula for calculating your list vote is a simple 9 times divisor. You divide your actual votes on the SNP list as they won the constituency. Any party. If they stand in the constituency seat and they stand in the list seat, then winning the constituency seat applies a 9 times divisor to your list seat count. So in the central region, where I stood as Solidarity's candidate for the Scottish Parliament, 127,000 votes went to the SNP. And the last Tory, red or blue, the last Tory elected was elected on 14,000. So when you apply the 9 times divisor, the actual count for the SNP was 8 plus 1, I'm sure. It was 12 to 14,000. 14,000 and above won the last seat, and it was a Tory that got it. So if you're prepared to divide your list seat by 9, you need to have more than the electorate that are standing or able to vote in your constituency to win that seat. It cannot be won if you win the constituency.
Talk about what you're saying there, Pat. Talk about what you're saying there. If you look at the 2014 referendum, you had the SNP and the Greens standing on one side together, and you had Labour, Liberal Democrats, and the Conservatives doing a cross-party blanket. So, would it not? That was I'm talking about 2014. No, the general election here. I do not see the Liberal Democrats backing out. I cannot see them turning around refusing to stand in seats. They'll stand everywhere in the country. Other parties might not, but in a future Scotland vote in 2022, you could potentially see, if we do get this Wind Over Scotland party up and running off the ground, you could see the SNP actively campaigning alongside them and saying this is our second voice. This is the voice that we would elect to hold us to account in Parliament, because that is one of the issues that you get in Scottish politics. Is there's no second house. You've just got, and we've discussed it here in the show before, it is designed by proxy to not allow a majority government. It's supposed to be a minority parliament. Maybe the SNP need to learn that and take full advantage of that.
Yeah. 2007 was the anomaly. SNP didn't win the majority of constituency seats, or they did. They won the majority.
They did.
But they didn't win as many as they have since. So that allowed them to actually pick up the list seats to give a majority in the Parliament by 1, I think it was. Am I right? I think it was
1, 2. I think it was 1, 2.
2007 was the minority government, and it was after 2013 or 2012 was the majority government. But on what you're saying, Pat, and again, the whole point, I mean, you've explained to Hunt, I mean, it is a very complicated system, but it's effectively very easy. What it means, effectively, is that any list vote is divided by the number of constituency MSPs that have been voted for in that region. So if the SNP or any other political party were to win the majority of the constituency seats, the list vote becomes a near irrelevance.
Yes.
And that is what it comes down to. But again, let's make one thing particularly clear here. We have now been discussing the 2022 Holyrood elections. We shouldn't be looking to Holyrood. We should be looking to have an independence referendum well before 2022. I would love to see one by the 31st of August, by the 31st of October. We can agree now that's not going to happen, no matter how much sense it would have made. But we have to be looking at getting a referendum at the latest in the course of 2020, irrespective of whatever shenanigans the UK Parliament gets up to.
I'm going to play devil's advocate in this. Nicola Sturgeon has said that she's going to apply for her Section 30.
Yeah.
If she applies for her Section 30 and a general election takes place, does that fall by the wayside just as legislation does?
No, I don't think they stand in their manifesto that they are going to hold a Section 30 order. So then it would be the Tories and whoever's in power in Westminster saying they're denying the will of a mandated electorate vote, which would fly right in the face of everything they said about the Brexit vote. So it would be hypocrisy to the highest order.
Right, but when the SNP's first Section 30 orders have been refused previously, primarily due to the fact that they don't deem a significant material change has yet taken place, which technically it hasn't. Brexit hasn't happened yet. That's what the SNP had in their manifesto on the last two votes that they went into. If they stand in a manifesto of, we are going to hold Indy Ref 2, we're going to hold it at our earliest convenience, and we're going to get this, we will stay with the UK throughout the Brexit process, through a transition period, whatever, but we are going to have our say again, because we've been ignored for the last 5 years, we've been lied to for the last 5 years about our ships, about our jobs, about many different things. 300 years.
Yeah, 307 years, yeah. If you go back 5,000 years, if you...
Well, Ian's cut himself off, I'm getting excited.
I just jump in what Ian was saying. He said they've applied for Section 30 order twice. I'm aware of the one time, 2007, Section 30 order was applied for. Theresa May famously said, now is not the time. The interesting thing is, then we had the snap general election in 2017, and going in the manifestos of the SNP, the talk in 2015 was about material change. The 2017 manifesto was the first manifesto where the SNP actually said, wait to see how Brexit pans out. So on the basis of the 2015 manifesto, material change, as you were saying, in being lied to for the last 5 years or the last 300 years, what we were promised with this infamous vow, this material change has already come about. But
Colin, your sound's cutting out.
Ian, what are you doing? Okay, Colin.
We're going to have a general election probably in November.
Yeah.
The SNP has to stand on the mandate for independence referendum. I would even argue stand on the mandate that if we make this general election a one-issue vote, we've effectively got a referendum. And if we have over 50% of the electorate voting for SNP MPs at Westminster, then nobody can deny it.
Yeah.
The Tories will deny Section 30. We know that. Even Labour will deny Section 30 for the first few years. And that is, again, what I hope and pray that we have a plan B up our sleeve so that we've been shown to do everything that we can and still getting ignored by Westminster, still getting permission denied, which in itself is an anomaly, and that there is a further path forward, which at the moment isn't being laid on the table. And I can live with it on the table. That's fine.
Great. I'll go back to what you were saying about Plan B. Plan B has been referred to the SNP on 2 occasions. One as a direct motion, and 2 as an amendment to a motion, and both have been thrown out. So the SNP are not going to have independence front and centre, although they should have. They're going to. She is insisting on this Section 30 being legally binding and unchallengeable in law.
But that's what they're happening in the Parliament now, isn't it, Pat? That's they're putting legislation in the Scottish Parliament so that we don't need a Section 30 order. Those foundations are getting laid.
Legislation in it as to how the referendum will be conducted. That we're quite sure about that. It doesn't say that they will hold the referendum without a Section 30. There's nothing in the legislation there. Raymond, do you want to come in?
Yeah, Stephen Miller just said, anyone heard about a UN treaty that can be applied if no Section 30 after SNP win GE or on Indy Manifesto?
That's a UN Charter for Indigenous People.
Yeah.
Yes, we have United Nations human rights to decide as a nation political structure and who we have governing us. We have that right, but we've had that right all the way through this, and it's never been applied. Nicola is insisting on obtaining a Section 30. Now we know that is going to be rejected and refused outright. What are we going to do when that happens? Not if, but when that happens. There is no guidance, and it wouldn't be folly at this time. At this time, the campaign for Scottish freedom, it would be folly to say to our opponents, you can refuse us all you wish. We can do this. We can do this.
Do what they could have done when they had 56 MPs and walk out the Parliament. Just leave. Just say we're dissolving this Westminster Parliament.
Yes, agreed.
We had every single MP. They didn't because Brexit hadn't been sorted, and that would have been very Hitlerian, you know. So the SNP are playing the long game. They're playing the politics game. We're getting into the end zone here at the moment. It's all going to change in the next couple of weeks.
We elected 56%, 56 MSPs. We elected 56 MSPs on more than 50% of the vote, did we not?
I think it was just under 100% sure.
Yeah, it was about 40% that we got the second time round. That's when we lost out to the Conservatives. But all the Tories have done is not represent their constituents and their votes, so they're not going to win those seats again. It's all to be played, but I do reckon the SNP form some sort of, even if it's a supply and demand arrangement for Labour to get votes through the House. I do not see them opposing a Section 30. It'll be like the Lib Dems back in the first general election. They wanted to go into power with the Tories. They dropped the no student tuition fees rise like a hot bun. Labour will do the same if it gets them into power, and if the SNP is that supply and demand vote.
No, but Labour have already stated. Labour
said that a lot.
In their early years of governance,
Hold on, guys. Ian, hold on, back.
In their statement, with their flip-flopping, Jeremy Corbyn said he would not stand in the way of an independence referendum. John McDonnell said he would not stand in the way of an independence referendum. Richard Leonard categorically stated he will oppose and not allow an independence referendum. And now the Labour Party, with the general election coming up, have stated in their first early years of a Labour government, they will not allow a Section 30, or they will not allow an independence referendum.
And that'll be sound for them, Pat, to implement that policy if they win an outright majority. But they are not. They will not win an outright majority without the SNP vote in Scotland. We'll have to supply them power. So that policy will change. They can't. Richard Leonard has not won a single election in Scotland. Labour haven't won a single election in Scotland in the best part of the last 10 years. So they can't enforce a manifesto policy if they don't win the vote in this country. Simple as that. As I said, we have to wait and see what happens. I'm young into politics. Never stood in an election, Pat. You've also got a lot more experience than I do. But this is, I think, part of the problem with politics is we see people lying all the way through. We don't see consistency from our politicians. We don't see them standing by what they do. And that's why I do believe in an independent Scotland. We can create a brand new style of politics, something that does work for the people. Let's bring in new ideas, new businesses. That should be talked about in this show all the time. What could we be doing new for Scotland? Whereas what we're focusing on at the moment is the disaster that's going on in Westminster for the last 3 years.
Well, and saying that, what laws have been passed in the last 3 years, in the last 6 months, that'll affect the people of this country? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. They are now going into election mode. They're going to prorogue Parliament for 5 weeks, and the word from the SNP is they are going to be in their constituencies starting the campaign for that general election, because we know it's coming. But the last 6 months, the last year, there has been no laws passed other than derogatory or bad laws for the people of Great Britain. You've got the pensions law, you've got the WASPI law, the bedroom tax, the rate clause. And it's only now that the Tories have the audacity to stand up and be outraged at their members being deselected and expelled from their party. What about the people they're supposed to be representing? What about those people who are suffering, the 120,000 up until 2017 who have taken a life because of the laws that were passed in Britain and because of this debacle, a Brexit, to hide behind that they can't be held to account? Sorry if I'm a wee bit angry.
No, I'm thinking about, like, I'm sure it was September the 11th, 2001. There was one of the Labour politicians came out and said, now would be a good day to bury bad news.
Yes.
Realistically, 3 years of Brexit has been the Tories' rule to bury bad news. And we are in a stage now where news is being limited, Facebook feeds are being stopped. We've still got a massive, we've got the National as our newspaper. We don't have a national TV broadcaster as such. We've got independents running online, relying on crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. We are fighting an election campaign with two hands tied behind our back in Scotland when it comes to the finances. Look at the way the Tories have taken advantage of that Cambridge Analytical over the last few years. The influence that social media has on elections, on campaigning, on all sorts of things. We need to really take full control of this platform, or whatever platform we're on. We need to be getting as loud and as proud as we can, because over the next couple of weeks, people are either going to get, you look at what's happened in Hong Kong and Japan specifically in the last few weeks. They were getting really wound up, protesting, getting violent protests. And now they've managed to get the Chinese government to change their philosophy on, or the Hong Kong government on the philosophy on the Chinese rules to extradite whoever they wanted at any time. Yeah. So it's almost to the point of, and I've seen it in chats, and this weekend I stayed at home, didn't go to the rally myself, but I've seen a lot of people doing a lot of great productions on Facebook, and a lot of the same questions were coming up again about like civil disobedience. You know, where do we say is enough is enough? We need solid direction, and the SNP for the last 10 years in Scotland have given pretty solid government advice. We've seen infrastructure projects completed on time and on budget. They've spoken about High Speed 2, how it's gone up to 88 billion, nearly 30% over budget, 5 years delayed, and guess what? Fuck all benefit to Scotland. Not an ounce of investment is going to come anywhere near us. It's going to go to Manchester at the last stage, Birmingham Leeds before that. We need to get out of this, and we should have got out of this in 2014. We should have got out of this in 1979. We should have got out of this 307 years ago. But the time is coming now where I think on these next few votes are going to come up, crucial decisions are going to be made, and the foundations of the end of the Union are upon us.
Yeah.
Amen.
Colin, I'm going to bring you in here.
I'm agreeing with both of you. As Ian says, there are going to be crucial votes coming up. As you said, Pat, you said MSPs, and I know you meant Westminster, that Westminster's been doing absolutely nothing for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
The fact, for me, is a very simple fact. We will have a general election within the next couple of months. That is almost a given. And what we need to do as grassroots is to either vote SNP because you would vote SNP anyway, or if you wouldn't, lend your vote to the SNP, and let's make this general election a kind of referendum. Let's get SNP MPs at Westminster with over 50% of the vote. When we started this show over a year ago as a People's Doorstep referendum, where we were looking at getting 50% plus one to have a mandate for independence. Right, that didn't quite work out as we'd hoped it would, but we will have a chance, everybody in Scotland will have a chance in the coming months to put their cross on the ballot paper. So make sure you're registered to vote, vote SNP, vote independence, and let's get the SNP MPs at Westminster with a vote of over 50% of the electorate, and then let them try and tell us at Westminster that now is not the time.
Raymond, do you want to add to that? Or do you want to go over our viewing comments?
Well, I totally agree with you guys, especially what Colin said. Got some nice comments. Stephen Miller, one of our regulars. A shout out for Cliff Serby and his idea, the People's Saltire at the Edinburgh March. Details on Givnak this morning. Bring us Saltire shield. Sounds good. Violence in London and Glasgow. British state gasping for last breath. This is all they know.
Yeah.
And yeah, guys, everybody watching, thank you again for reacting with us. Share the show wherever you can, and we can't do it without you guys. Without you, we wouldn't be here. And that's basically what we all need to do, is just stand together as one to gain independence. And yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah. Colin, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But I caveat the support we're giving to the SNP. I will support the SNP till the latest August 2020. If we have not set the date for that referendum by August 2020, I call on Wings to put together that single issue party, and I'll stand there. So right now, I'll lend my vote to the SNP because they are the political arm of the Yes movement. And I call on the whole of the Yes movement, and especially the 500,000 who didn't turn out to support them at the general election last time. We need, as a Yes movement, we need to engage those people again.
Amen.
Make them feel part of it, and let them know that their vote counts. And we need to deliver at least that 56 again, if not the 59. And on that provision, they'll get my support, but they must deliver India F2 by their timeline. Otherwise, we in the Yes movement need to organise ourselves and stand as a single issue party, because remember, that single issue has always been our focus, and we have allowed the British state to sidetrack us at every opportunity. If we are a single issue party, we can focus on the goal. We've said this for a year on this show. We have been sidetracked by health, by employment, by retail, by the economy, by everything. Until we get independent, we cannot change one iota of what's happening in this country, this 4 nations. But if the SNP are delivered in their 56 to 59, they must deliver independence next year, the independence referendum, and deliver independence. It will take all of us as one to do that. We've got to be to them. And if Wings are not prepared to do it, anybody interested out there will stand beside me, I'll stand beside them on a single issue matter: independence. I'll give you the floor. Paul, if you want to come back on it.
Nothing to add to that, Pat.
Ian?
No, yeah, just reading the chat. Like, it's, listen, we're not politicians here. That's why we do have a healthy debate. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you know, message the page, get in touch. We want to have as many voices on here differently, because as Ian says, no one on here, this panel speaks for the whole Yes movement. You know, there's opinions, diverse, far and wide, all the way across. A single party issue policy, like Wings, like whatever may form in the next 2 years and 18 months, would be quite interesting. I think it's a really exciting time for Scottish politics. I think independence would be very exciting, very difficult. Christ, I mean, it's not, you know, you don't just win a country and then everything's all rosy. There'll be plenty of hiccups along the way. But I think taking pride in our own future, our own destiny, taking accountability for our own mistakes. But all we've seen for the last 30 odd years that I've been about is watching mistakes getting made for me by Westminster, be it on military decisions, be it on political decisions, be it on social welfare decisions. We are a totally different country to England. We need to have that independence vote so that we can turn around and legitimately say, enough's enough. We're going to do it on our own. We'll work with you. Let's have a crack at it. Because, you know, you're just steering the ship in horrible directions.
We ask the viewers to get engaged, and they don't have to be in agreement with us.
No.
Ian Johnson, you're quite right, sir. You have the right to express your view, and I'll agree with you. I do not speak for the whole of the Yes movement, but I speak for my part of the Yes movement and my participation in the Yes movement. I've been fighting this fight for 35, 40 years, since 1977, and been disillusioned and lied to by the Labour Party. In 77, I was a 13-year-old writing out newsletters for a yes vote, while the Labour Party knew they were going to rig that vote. That was in 77. So I say with all conviction, I will attempt to coordinate with others to put a single issue party out there on the proviso that the independence referendum has not been delivered by 2020. You may not agree with me, and that is your right, but I have a view, and I am tired of waiting, and as many are, but they have my support. The SNP have my support with my vote to that date. But thanks for your contribution, Ian. You're more than entitled to have that. And I know I don't speak for the whole Yes movement, but I speak for part of it. Guys, I was going to try and keep this to the hour. Ian, thank you for your contribution, Ian Johnson. It's healthy debate.
Definitely.
It's really healthy debate.
Definitely.
Guys, anything you want to say in closing?
Well,
Right, want to say something first? Go for it.
well, no, I just want to say we talked about Ian. Ian is a good friend of mine, and I'm asking Ian, speaking directly to you now. We've had some heated discussions as well. I would love for you to be on the show at one time. Join us, and you can have your say on the show. Would love to have you on. We love a good discussion here. We don't agree with everything the other is saying per se, but on this show everybody can have their say, and so I would love to have you on, being a mate, but also being somebody that has you can have a good discussion yourself. We've had some, so please, if you want to come on, please, would love to have you on.
Yeah. Anybody out there in Facebook world, if you have a comment, if you have a question, and you want to put it face to face, by all means, just send us your Skype address, and we'll include you in the show. This is what we started this up for. We want to create interaction, direct interaction,
Exactly.
with everyone out there. And Ian, I know you're not damning my opinion, but I've got to say, it is a pleasure to have you commenting, because we cannot all be, and we should never be, simply yes men.
No.
We need to question every single thing. Colin, you were going to give us some closing.
I'd go again with what both you and Raymond have said. And again, if we have some folk that are engaging with us every week now on our show by the comment section, thank yous all. And again, I'll reiterate, you're more than welcome to join us. I haven't seen all the comments that have been made tonight, but what I would reiterate is what Pat said, is that he's not the voice of the Yes movement. I'm not the voice of the Yes movement. And I would say that Raymond and Ian would agree with us as well. None of us are the voice of the Yes movement. The Yes movement is a broadcast. We've got a lot of different opinions. We've got a lot of different ideas how we would like to see an independent Scotland make its way forward.
Amen.
But we have to focus on the goal right now of getting that independence. Because without independence, we run the risk of being back at the behest of Boris Johnson for the next God knows how many years. And that is a really scary thought. Folk, now is the time. Let's get the people power out there, on the marches and the rallies, taking part in this, putting your crosses in the ballot paper the next election. Scotland can do better than they are doing in this so-called union. So let's make it happen.
Amen.
Yeah, no. Ian Leconby, closing points.
Yeah, just summing up everything that everyone's been saying tonight. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We want to make this a positive discussion on Scottish politics. And one of the things that I've noticed when I've been doing the stream rallies is we do get a lot of unionists that come in as well. So if there is a unionist that's in the chat, just treat them with kindness, have a wee chat with them. They don't share the same opinion. I think one of the things that often happens on Facebook chatland as well is someone puts a one-line statement and the context can get taken out really, really quick. So you can see a lot of, listen, it is what it is. We don't try and block anyone here. We try and have as much healthy debate as possible. Start slander attacks, abusing, swearing, cursing constantly, then you're going to not likely be invited to the group for much longer. But if you disagree with what we're saying, tell us why. Share it with the panel, share it with the audience. This is a people's show for the people's opinions. But yeah, it's all the likes that happen because we need to get more. There's no point preaching to the choir constantly. No. We do need to reach out to our unionist friends and say, have a listen to this, tune into this, chat about this. What do you think? Because that's the only way we're going to win in the vote is by converting those that were no voters to yes voters, or Labour voters to SNP voters, or Westminster voters to Scotland voters. That's what we're working for here. But thanks again for your time tonight. It's always great joining the show and discussion.
Well, I've one thing to say in an upbeat manner. We have the 52% and rising.
Amen.
Good night, ladies and gents. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week. And it will be on
Wednesday, I'm
sure.
This Wednesday?
But that's subject to change.
Yeah.
To our work commitments. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good day, guys.
Enjoy the show.
Night, folk.
Cheerio, bye.